What is up, everybody? Isaac here with Civil Engineering Academy. Excited to be with you on another podcast episode. Appreciate you liking and subscribing these. It always helps. Leave some comments, all that kind of fun stuff. And you never know who's listening to these things. And my guest today is no exception to that. So I bring a special guest on today. She was a previous course member for our FE review course called the Ultimate Civil FE Review Course. She found us through a podcast, but her name is Angela Concha, and she is a civil engineer working in Ohio. She came here from Venezuela and started working towards earning her PE license. Part of that is becoming an FE. So she was struggling to pass the FE exam, multiple attempts, went through self-study, went through some other courses, ended up listening to a podcast at Civil Engineering Academy and was inspired to come check it out. And so she ended up passing after taking her course while she was on tour in a vacation in Ireland, of all places. So it could have been a really good vacation or bad vacation, depending on the results, but it was actually a really good vacation. And so she jumps on to share her experience of coming here from Venezuela, taking the test multiple times, her experience of self-study and taking courses, and kind of her overall message on inspiring you to help pass your FE exam. So if you're in the mode of passing your FE exam, this one's going to be inspirational to you. And even if you're studying for your PE exam, there's some great tips in here to help you as well. So without further ado, I'll get to my interview with Angela. It's going to be coming up right after this. See you in a minute. All right, Angela, we're rocking and rolling. Thanks for joining me today on the Civil Engineering Academy podcast. I appreciate you doing this with me.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. So you were a past student of ours. You passed your FE exam, which is always exciting. So congratulations on passing that. I think your journey is pretty unique. So I just wanted to bring you on and kind of talk about your journey. But could you maybe briefly describe your journey from Venezuela and how you got your FE exam? Like, what challenges did you face?
So, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. This is very exciting. First time doing it. So I appreciate the opportunity. And so I graduated in Venezuela, as a civil engineer in 2013. And I came to the States in 2016, looking for more opportunities. That Venezuela didn't really give me at the time. So that's when I came here. I got my first job engineering wise because my first job was as a drafting experience. It was actually pretty interesting. It was a 3D drafting experience for a bridge company that taught me a lot, and it was definitely interesting. That was in 2019. And so my first time trying for the FE was in 2021. Yes, 2021, which, well, I didn't really study as much as I should have, for sure. So I failed that time. And then after that, I tried another time, didn't succeed either. And in 2020, I think it was 2023, I really went to it. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to self-study. I had a bunch of books and I had, a bunch of material to go with. So I'm like, I'm going to start, just self-studying and doing everything. And wasn't successful once again. And it wasn't until 2024 when I was like, I need some help. So I did the PPI course, which was really helpful. I mean, it did teach me a lot, and their course is actually very thorough, and you can really learn a lot of things. But when it comes to practicing, it can be a little frustrating that their course is so much in depth that it doesn't really represent what like the actual exam. So I got really frustrated, didn't feel prepared. based on those like the problems that they actually did. So I was like, okay, I had like 5 different exams. They're really good at giving you tons of materials to go through. But I just didn't feel very much prepared. And, I went to it and I almost passed, I believe, but I wasn't quite there yet. And so I decided to try one more time. And I was like, I'm just going to do self-study again. I have plenty of material. Maybe I can
Hmm.
do it. And I was like, okay, started, going through YouTube videos and all of that. And that's when I heard of the Civil Engineering Academy. And I'm like, oh, well, this is a different one. Started going through the reviews and I noticed that you guys had a podcast, decided to listen to one of them. And I'm really sorry that I can't remember her name. I know she's from Oklahoma City, and she also tried a couple of times to, you know, pass the FE and everything. So after her experience and listening to her, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna pull the trigger. I'm gonna invest in this, like in this um program, like this course, and see how I do. So it was pretty good to the point that I passed the FE finally. So that was really helpful. That was overall. That's kind of like how I got here to when I passed the FE.
Wow. Well, there's a lot to unpack there, but thanks for sharing that journey. And I think that's exciting. So, I mean, it sounds like you hit a couple road bumps, and some roadblocks in the way of getting through this. So, I'm just curious, like, what for you was like the toughest moment that you were experiencing during this whole exam prep journey? Um, and I guess you found our course, but how did we help you, I guess, through that?
So definitely, like one of the biggest bumps were like the language barrier.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't know some of the terms, like the terminology that was used, or maybe I did, but I didn't know that much in depth. That really obviously had a play in it. But um, honestly, like from the FE, I always had troubles with the first half of the exam, which is like the most basic one, like math. I mean, like I said, I graduated in 2013,
Mm.
which it's been a while. So trying to touch base again with, vectors and like very basic things of engineering and the career per se, it was definitely a challenge. And every time I took the FE, I left like the first half, like, I don't know how I did. I don't think I did really good. So that plays a part on the second half too. And so after I started uh, working with CEA and really going through, I really love the part where you have practice problems, but you not only have like the, oh yeah, they're solving this. You actually have a video that they're showing you how they're solving it. So that really plays a part. And this time around, I left the first half like, oh, I actually think I did great here. I mean, it really gave me a lot of tips and like, oh yeah, of course, like this is what it is. Like I started remembering much more when I was in college, and that really played a part. Gave me obviously more, like I was way more secure when I went to the second part because I'm like, oh, I think I did really good. So, once you start good, you feel a lot more confident going to the second half instead of being like, oh, I feel defeated, you know? So
Yeah, it's a big mental. I mean, it's kind of a big mental game, and
it is.
you know, you had taken the exam before, and a lot of people get really frustrated after repeating it a couple times because I don't know, it beats you down. So,
Right.
would you have any tips for people that are struggling to pass this thing and kind of the mental state they may find themselves in?
So for me, it really helped me that I started like in a separate folder. I started writing down tips and tricks, or like especially like if terminology wise, since my English is not my first language, I started writing down every little thing that could help me. So I can actually go back, like right before the exam, I went back there and just started reading what I wrote and just kind of like to refresh my memory. And that really helped me because sometimes you're studying and you think, oh, yeah, I'll remember this. But at the end of the day, like if there's nothing like refreshing your memory right before, like maybe a day or two before the exam, and going through all your notes, and actually that really helped me a lot.
Wow, that's awesome. Is that I'm just curious, but is that a resource that maybe we could share with others that maybe have that language barrier? I think that would be a really cool tool.
Yeah, so what I did, I got the is the I can't remember the name of the app. Let me see, I have it here on my iPad. But I got an app and you can create like notebooks. So what I did was Good Notes is the name of the app. It's like $10 a year.
Mm,
But yeah, so I created notebooks with like CIA review, CA practice problems, or even I separated them and then I created another one so I can keep my notes. I can just go back and write them separately instead of going through everything in just one
mm.
notebook. Um, so that's pretty much what I did. I feel like, at least for me, writing it down, it gives me a better perspective of what I'm studying. And, it's a lot easier to just go back to your notes instead of going through like the whole notebook and say, oh, where did I write this?
All right.
Keep it separated. It's always helpful.
Very true. We'll have to link to that if others are interested in following that app. So we'll definitely do that. You mentioned video practice problems that we have in the course were super helpful. Was there anything else that you found helpful in the course that you were excited about or that helped you in your studies?
Oh, so my favorite feature about the course was the simulator.
The exam simulator?
Yes, for sure. That really helped me a lot to actually manage my time better when it came to the exam. And it made me a lot less nervous at
Mm,
the time because I think I took it like 3 or 4 times. So by the time I got to the exam, I'm like, oh yeah, I know the drill. I know that, I need to be sitting here for X period of time, and I know that I need to do this. So my brain was already like trained to do it. So for one, it didn't feel so overwhelming because I mean, if you set up your timer, you can also do it, but in but you can also like, oh, I'll take a little break, I'll pause it, and I'll do this and then I'll do that. But if you're sitting there and you have a timer, like if you don't do it, if and I know, like I think after 40 questions, you can actually pause it. Uh,
mhm.
but I would rather just go through it like at the actual exam. So it takes a lot pressure off of your shoulders if you've done it before. And it actually, like the time management is so key to pass the exam. I did the first half. Uh, I had like, I don't know, 30 minutes to go through, just review everything that I did. And then I had like, because I wanted to leave like 3 hours to the second half.
Hmm.
So by the second half, I left the first half being like, oh, very confident. Like, I think I did really good for the first time. And when I went to the second half, I finished it and I actually had like 45 minutes left
Yeah,
to review everything else. And I really think it's because I did so many of those, like, I have this much time. And it was so like the whole exam really mimics what the actual exam is. So you're not going into the weeds on anything. So I think that really helped me a lot.
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have mentioned they love that exam simulator. We do try to make that as close as possible to the real thing. We want to give people exposure to that before they go take it. So, would you have any? I mean, when did you take that? Was it a couple weeks before the real exam? A month, a day or two before the real exam? Like, what was your strategy behind taking that exam simulator, or for anyone that's taking practice exams? But how early before the real exam did you take that?
So I had taken the exam like 4 months before I got the course. So I already had experience with it, or at least, it's not like I was starting from zero
Gotcha.
studying. So I took it a month before, maybe like a month and a half before my exam was scheduled, just to see where I was at. And then I just started taking it, just I got your course maybe like 2 months before my exam was scheduled. So obviously it was a time crunch. And so I was doing it. I did it like 3 or 4 times. So maybe like a month and a half, then a month before. So I separated it, and until the latest, I took it a week before I took my exam.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just like hearing people's experiences. Like, would you recommend to others that are preparing to take it, you know, a month ahead, or what would you be your advice?
My advice would be to take it like just so you have a better idea what you need to reinforce. I would say take it right when you get the your course, right? And then the greatest thing is that it breaks down per subject. Like, what is your percentage per subject? So that gives you a better idea of what you need to reinforce, what are your strengths and weaknesses. And so taking it like right away, even if your exam is scheduled like 6 months ahead, you can just take it and see like, oh, well, I need to reinforce structural or
Mhm.
math or whatever the case may be for you. And then, reinforce those subjects and take it afterwards and see if you made, just so you can measure if you made any progresses, or maybe you need to reinforce a little bit more. But I believe it's always good to take it like right, like ahead of time.
Gotcha.
That's just
That's
my
really good
advice.
advice.
Yeah.
I'm curious because you took the exam a few times. Did you notice any surprises or any major changes as you went through the exam experience and taking it a few times? And would you have any tips for anybody about to go take it?
I did. Actually, the time before this one, I felt pretty confident with the PPI course. Um, but obviously, the exam is so broad that is kind of hard to reach to everything that may possibly be in the exam.
Hmm.
So I felt pretty confident, and then when it was actually the exam, there were certain things that I didn't cover while I was studying. So obviously that really like startled me a little. It's like, oh my God, I didn't study this. And then you start getting into your head, and, you know,
Yep.
things happen. But surprisingly, because right after the exam, I wrote down like whatever I remembered from the exam. It's like, just in case I don't pass, I'm gonna write down what I remember that was covered in this exam that I didn't cover before, so I can actually cover it if when I take it again.
Hmm.
And which to me, that's a very good tool too. Like, even if you feel confident that you pass it, it's always better to take notes afterwards with a fresh memory, like, oh, they covered this, this, and this, just in case you need to take it again. Um, I made that mistake before, so that's when I was like, I don't care if I feel like I passed it or not. I'm gonna take notes just in case. And if it's not for you, maybe you can help somebody else in the future. Like, oh, these are my notes from that exam. I think that's very helpful for everyone.
Definitely.
Um, but so yeah, when I started doing the CEA, I, you know, I started comparing what you guys were covering with my notes, and I found that a lot of the notes that I take that I took, they were actually covered. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
so this is nice.
Awesome.
The things that I didn't cover before, now they're being covered. I was just comparing things, so that was also very helpful.
Good. So, I'm just curious as well. As you went through all these exam experiences, part of the exam experience is multiple choice questions, but they also have maybe alternative item type stuff. Did you have any experience with questions thrown at you like that, or theory questions, quite a bit of theory thrown at you?
So yeah, for this exam particularly, they for the second half, they had a lot of theory questions that typically, like, from my past experiences, they didn't have.
Hmm.
They were more practical than theoretical, and I was kind of, it threw me off a little because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh well, especially in the second half. And but yeah, they did in this opportunity. They did do a lot of theoretical questions,
Gotcha.
and they also did a lot of the fill in the blank, which those always make me nervous.
Those are everyone's favorite
Yes,
if you
because
type it in right.
because if you have like multiple choice and you solve the problem and you're like, oh yes, this is my answer, so you feel confident about it. But fill in the blank, it's like, this may or may not be the answer. Hopefully it is.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's a real fan of the fill in the blank one. You
No.
know, you got to play the game. So,
I know.
oh man. Well, I mean, it sounds like this whole experience has been a unique experience for you. The challenges that you had in taking it multiple times. Um, you mentioned a language barrier as well, and the note taking app. Is there any other advice you'd give someone struggling to pass this thing?
Yes. The main one is just keep trying.
Yeah, for sure.
Just, I mean, it doesn't matter and I know it can be frustrating, and it can definitely uh make you not feel good about yourself sometimes, or you feel a little overwhelmed, but just keep trying. you it doesn't matter. Like, my mindset was always, this is not gonna defeat me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pass it regardless. If I have to take it 10 times, I'll take it 10 times. But you know it's it's always the rewards when you pass. Even if you took it, even if you pass it like with the first try, or maybe you took it 5, 6, 7, 8 times, the rewards of passing it is 100% worth it.
great advice. Could you walk me through the day you got your results for this one?
That was a fun one because I took the exam a week before I went to Ireland. I had a trip to Ireland.
Whoa.
So my mindset was like, I'm just gonna try my best, and whatever the news may be, I'm gonna be in Ireland. I'm either going to celebrate or I'm still gonna have a great time. I'm in Ireland. I'll be good. So I was literally we were about to take Guinness uh the Guinness tour. Like they have I can't remember the name. Anyways, it we were about to go there, and I got an email, and I'm like, oh my God, did I pass it? Did I not pass it? And I'm like, regardless, I am going to have like a good time. I don't care. There's gonna be a nice tour. And the data was failing, and it wasn't loading anything. But immediately I got another email that said, congrats, you earned a badge. And I'm like, oh my God, did I pass it? But I can't, I need to go to the website and actually see if I passed it or not. And luckily they had Wi-Fi, of course, and I was able to log in and see the past. So that was a good time.
That was a great day.
That was a great day. It was like, and I still had like maybe one more week in Ireland. So I'm like, oh, this is gonna make the trip a lot better.
Yeah, when that lifts off your shoulders, like everything is just better. But
Right.
everything tastes better, everything looked better.
Yes, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on passing. I think that's just a huge achievement. What's next? Are you gonna work on the PE? Is that on the roadmap?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. I still don't have my 4 years of experience. Because when I started as a drafter, I don't think that counts as engineering experience. Um, but yeah, for sure, the PE is on the map. And from what I've heard from my coworkers, they've said that they actually found the PE easier than the FE for some reason.
Many else said that.
So I'm gonna take their word for it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think in some cases it is. It's still a challenging exam for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but in terms of like, math and statistics and kind of those core engineering concepts, it's definitely those go away. So, you can focus on your depth stuff only, and especially with the changes that have happened since April.
Oh
So it'll
yeah,
be
for
good.
sure. And with you being already in field and having experience, I think that makes it a lot easier. At least even for the FE for me, it since I didn't graduate here in the States, having experience really helped me understand a lot of more things overall. At least for like the second half, I'm in water resources, so it really helped me a lot.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing this. I guess maybe is my last question is why would you recommend Civil Engineering Academy to a friend if they were looking to try to pass their FE exam?
Oh, I actually already did. One of my friends he lives in Florida, and he took the FE just once. Um, so far he's trying to get back, but he's got a busy life.
Yeah,
But I definitely told as soon as I passed, I'm like, you need to try this course. You have to do it. So he was like, all right, I'll give it a shot, and just definitely recommended it.
that's great. Well, thank you for doing this. I appreciate your thoughts and the tips that you've shared. I'm sure anyone listening to this that's preparing for their FE exam is going to be inspired to keep it going and keep doing it. So I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and thanks for jumping on and sharing your thoughts with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a great time.
All right, we will talk to you later.
Sounds good.
See ya.
See ya. Bye.